go time.
The boys are back. That's right, Florida Man Sports is here with another exciting episode. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. This is Florida Man Sports.
Ladies and gents, Florida Man Sports is back.
Woo.
Listen, folks, this is the fantasy football extravaganza. I'm so excited that you're tuning in.
Can you say it with some reverence, please?
I always want to remind folks to please like and share. We are
Extravaganza!
streaming on all platforms. Okay. And if you are not excited for this week, you fantasy football lovers, I don't know what to tell you. The only people, Johnny, that would be disappointed in this episode right now, the only people are the ones who have terrible league managers and had their draft a week or two ago when you still got to cut players, when you still got people that get injured, right? So shame on you league managers for doing that.
I don't understand people like that. It drives me crazy. Last year they tried to do it, and we're like, no, we got to wait, and we had a bunch of injuries last year.
Now, mind you, our commissioner for our league, he's dumber than a box of rocks. However, he did do the smart thing, and our draft is this weekend, which is why we're here, Johnny Cinco. We're going to get the people ready. We're going to give you quarterback, running back, all that good stuff, the picks to pick, who to avoid, and to put a bow on it, our top predictions. So let's just go right off the bat here, Johnny Cinco. The quarterback position, the best pick in the quarterback position. If you have the number one pick and it's not a running back or wide receiver, who are you taking at the quarterback position?
For me, listen, the obvious answer, a lot of people are looking at Mahomes, looking at certain things. I'm not knocking that pick. There's nothing wrong with Mahomes being your top quarterback, especially with the offensive weapons. But for me, it's Joe Burrow. If you've been paying attention to everything I've been saying, that Joe Burrow has the weapons, has something to prove. He has players, that's pun intended, chasing a contract. Last year for Higgins, offensively, they made adjustments to the offensive line. Dude, this team is stacked and ready. You know, Burrow had the calf injury. He goes ahead and has that wrist injury that forced him out of the season. He is 100% healthy. This is going to be an MVP year for Joe Burrow. So don't hesitate as your number one quarterback for Joe Cool Burrow.
Oh, that's not a bad pick. You can't go wrong, especially with Chase coming back. For me, it's going to be Jalen Hurts. I have been very high. I've been saying this for months now, Johnny, that this kid is in the best shape of his life. I'm a big believer in that offensive style that they like to play. I know they lost Kelce at center. That's probably the only big ripple in that lineup. But short of that, the tush push is still legal, so they're going to keep using it. As far as predictions goes, I got him for 4,000 yards. I got 30 touchdowns, 7 to 10 rushing yards, which that equates to about 400 points. So for me, not that I would take him number one overall, but the first quarterback off the board has to be Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, but let's go off average. You're saying these things here, but we're not going to talk in terms of how many yards they can do in a year. It's just strictly points. So, for instance, Joe Burrow last year, between weeks 5 to 10, averaged about 22 points.
Sure.
He was a busted quarterback averaging 22 points. What is this guy going to do fully healthy? Yeah. They're going to throw the ball. Mixon is not in Cincinnati. They're going to throw the ball a lot more. Mixon was a beast of a running back. Not the kid they got now isn't bad, but it's going to be a lot of option passes. It's going to be a lot of things happening. This is going to be the old school Rams, like the greatest show on turf type of thing. But that type of offense I expect this year from Cincinnati. That's why I have to. The problem I have with Hurts is that now you got Barkley on the team.
Hey.
So Barkley's going to take away some of those goal lines.
Listen, I'm not knocking your pick here. This isn't the knock in the pick draft. This is us giving our number one predictions.
I'm not knocking it. I'm just explaining why.
And then we're going to let him play out to see who. It's going to be funny because at the end of the year, we're going to see who finished number one. And just real quick, since you want to bring up Barkley, I actually think Barkley helps Hurts in that, that's another dynamic player to look out for. It gives him more room to run and so on. So what you think is going to hurt him, I think is going to help him and so on.
I can't believe they haven't eliminated the tush push. I thought for sure they would do it, and they still left it in.
It's still legal.
It's
and
garbage.
He's in the best shape of his
garbage
his
play.
Life.
Yeah, but he's actually lost some weight because they didn't want him injured. So I think they have him set up to not do the tush push as much. You can't lose what hurts. You can't lose what hurts. You can't lose with Mahomes. You can't lose with Burrow. But we're going off our guys who we think is our top guy. So who's our mid?
So let's throw out the cards, right? Let's say it goes very deep into they go quarterbacks first round. So now you're in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round, Johnny. Let's go that middle pick. Where's that middle pick that you're going with?
I mean, for us, you know me. I mean, specifically me. 5th season, got the bag. It's Tua. Tua's the dude. Tua, who had beat every team mark in yards and touchdown passes, everything, completion percentage. He threw almost 70% last year. You can knock the guy all he wants. Here's the issue. I'm not hyping up the Dolphins, but the Dolphins, their defense wasn't great last year, and it's a weaker defense this year. What does that mean? They're going to be playing from behind constantly. And even though I picked the Dolphins to win the division, we're not talking about that. He's going to put up a lot of points because they're going to be playing from behind a lot. He's going to have to throw that rock. He's going to throw more this year than he did last year. So people are looking at Tua like, oh, injured. He already proved that he can go a whole season without getting injured.
One time.
Okay,
Sorry, continue.
That's all you needed to prove. He needed to prove that he can do it, and he did it. So the offensive line is still good. They revamped a couple of things with the offensive line with Miami Dolphins. A chain being the guy there, the main guy, the back. They're still going to go as a threat to people to watch. Play action is going to work well for this team this year. So ultimately, don't sleep on Tua. Tua is going to put up points. Is he going to have the type of year he had last year? I think he can. I think he have a better year because early on he was killing it. Towards the middle to the end of the year, he kind of fell off. Why? Because the defense was horrendous, and it hurt them. But still, they were playing weaker teams. They stayed in it. It was never a situation which I think is going to happen this year, which are playing from behind a lot more, which is going to force more passing to a blown up.
Only thing I just quickly disagree there is that I believe that it's going to happen, Johnny, but it's going to get to the point where he can't handle the pressure. I'm not big on Tua, so that's why I don't know if that's going to be a very good pick. For me, middle of the pack, folks, Dak Prescott. You know what's so funny about him this year? He's ranked as a top 5 quarterback. However, average ESPN draft is 70, which means 6th to 8th round, folks. I'm going to say it again, 6th to 8th round. Look for Dak Prescott. A heck of a pick, middle of the pack, the way he's being drafted. Talk about the fact that the Cowboys didn't do anything this year. More is going to be asked from him as far as production goes. And just one last thing real quick. Last year, he had 36 touchdowns. This year, he needs middle of the pack, 25, 27 touchdowns passing and 4,000 yards. And he's going to be over 330 points, 350 points. And for a middle pick, Johnny, that's a lot of points from your quarterback. So for me, it's Dak Prescott, middle of the pack.
It's not that I disagree with that. I just think that I can't stand Dak, and a lot of people can't stand Dak either. That's the reason it's not. Dak is in the tier 1 fantasy quarterback.
He's top 5. He's
so
ranked top
when
5.
we're talking about Mahomes, we're talking about Burrow, we're talking about Hurts. Honestly, Dak is in that mix.
Yeah.
He's in the mix there to be your first quarterback.
And he's
there.
being drafted in around 70.
Yeah, because people hate Dak. People hate Dak. Mainly, they hate the Cowboys, and so I can understand that hate. And I have to really think and analyze, and really, I have to focus so hard to draft a Dallas Cowboy. So I understand that you're better off drafting a Cowboy than your home team. Don't make the mistake a lot of guys do. You become homers. You become guys who are like, no, you want to draft.
We're looking at you, Quinn.
I try to avoid picking players from my team because then you end up getting in this situation to where you're playing and then or even picking up a defense that's playing against my team that Sunday. I try to avoid those things because I want to win in fantasy football. I'm not trying to root against my team.
Absolutely.
I'm not trying to do that. So those are certain things that you're messing with the football god. Stay away from.
So let's take this one step further, Johnny, talking about the quarterback position here. Let's say you get deep on wide receiver and running back because you felt like you needed to. Now all the quarterbacks are gone, right? So now we're talking about some late picks here. Where's your value quarterback, that missing guy that we need to know about?
I'm going to pull a Chris here. I'm going to give you a couple of value picks here real quick. I'm going to focus on one, but I want to throw it out there so you know it's a value pick.
You said only...
I got a couple. One is a value pick. The other one is a definitely value pick, but mainly to piss you off. Guys, you can't sleep on Kirk Cousins. The Atlanta Falcons are going to go ahead and have an outstanding year. Kirk Cousins, I want to remind you that before Kirk Cousins went down with the Achilles injury, he was the number 1 fantasy quarterback last year. He was ranked number 1 when he went down. Then obviously he fell off, everything else there. But he was the number 1 ranked quarterback at the point of injury.
I'm going to destroy you after this.
So Kirk Cousins and the Falcons, who are going to just destroy the NFC South this year, is you can't sleep on Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins there, but also, I'm actually can't believe I'm saying this, but Murray for the Cardinals, dude, he has the weapons. Obviously, he has the best wide receiver in the draft. He has a good tight end. He has a new coach. He has certain things in place here. So I'm like, he's going to come back healthy, full season. I am very interested. I'm telling you, with Murray, it's feast or famine. He's going to go ahead and absolutely blow up, or he's going to be out of the league. This year, that's why If you're in that third tier, like we're talking about, that, man, this guy can really blow up. There's a lot of upside with Murray this year. Murray has some weapons. Can he do what he did with Hopkins and get you those points? Now he has that weapon in a Hopkins type. Yes, his rookie year, but this is Harrison Jr. This is somebody who is a Hall of Famer's son that's there, who's going to go. He has all the skills that Hopkins had when he was with the Cardinals. So now let's see, with McBride as the tight end, with the revamped offense, new coaching, new everything, can he capture that magic he had just a few years ago? I think it's worth the risk in that third quarterback spot there. So yes, Murray, Cousins.
So I'm going to destroy and annihilate the Cousins thing in just a little bit here. So
Okay.
I'm going to stop on that for a second. Murray's not a bad pick at all. For me, a value pick, Johnny, is somebody that is still going to be there for you to draft. And this guy's a top 10 quarterback this year.
Who are we talking about?
So Murray, you're not wrong with Murray. I like that pick. For me, it's Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is ranked number 9 this season. He's rostered in 28% of fantasy leagues, folks. And he's being drafted 164, which puts him in the 12th to 15th rounds. Think about this for 1 second. And this is my I know we're not saying predictions, but I got 4,000 yards and 27 touchdowns this year for him. That's what I feel like as far as the lineup. He's in the best shape of his career, just like Hurts is. And if you see him this training camp, I watch the Bucs all the time. They're just playing elite football going into the season. You're talking about the most talent at wide receiver and tight end. Even when we had Brady winning a Super Bowl, that's not me being a fanboy. At the wide receiver and tight end, yes, talent-wise it is. I'm going to throw you some quick names out.
No, it's you being a fanboy, so I'm agreeing with.
Jalen McMillan, he's a starter. He was drafted in the 3rd round this year.
Okay.
This kid is going to be dynamic. The center, we drafted in the 1st round, Graham Barton. He's elite. They're talking about this guy being a 10-time Pro Bowler. This is what it's looking like.
This is what I listen to every single year for the last 20 years.
And I'm going to go back to stick to the point because I'm not going to go on the Bucs fandom here. But that's why I'm picking Mayfield here as a sleeper. So not a sleeper, excuse me, as a value pick. So 28% drafted, 12th to 15th round, and you're going to get 4,000 yards from him. So think about Baker Mayfield if you need that value pick.
I disagree. Meaning, you're not totally wrong. At the end of the day, I do not. If you heard the last week's show, I don't expect a big season from Baker. I expect a complete drop off. But value pick, if you want to take a shot, I'm talking about. You're bottom of the barrel, 10 rounds, something like that. You're there. You need a quarter. You haven't picked the quarterback up. Sure, give a shot for Baker.
He's stocked with talent. He's stocked with protection. That's all I'm saying.
He's stocked with Mike Evans. Mike Evans is a Hall of Fame,
Godwin,
future Hall of
McMillan.
Fame. Godwin has been a complete letdown after his first year. Ever since he got that knee injury, he came back from it. He has been the same player.
1,000 yards last year.
He is a good receiver that's on the downswing. That's the reason why they haven't paid him. That's the reason they haven't given him the bag. So
he got the bag last year.
He didn't get the bag. He got what number? He's I want to say he's the 20th highest paid wide receiver.
The bag that deserving Jason Light, future GM of the year this year.
Yeah, GM did a great job of paying him nothing. But sure, he got the bag.
Florida Man Sports, again, this is the Fantasy Football Extravaganza, streaming on all platforms, folks. We're talking about the best pick, the middle of the pick for you at every position, and, of course, the value pick. Let's switch gears to the running back position, Johnny Cinco. We don't look at our stuff, but I can already, I'm assuming here that we both have the best pick. Who do you got? That running back.
We don't. I can guarantee you we do not have the best running back right now. Because for me, this is the year, guys. This is the year.
Don't say no.
This is the year.
Just stop, Johnny.
There was coaching mistakes, horrendous. Did not know how to use this player. There was something towards what? He was he was drafted from a lot of people in the 1st round in his rookie year. And I was like, what's going on? No, guys, this is the time now. You know what I'm going, right, Chris?
I hate you.
John Robertson.
I hate you. I hate
Dude,
you.
this is the year. You got Arthur the heck out of there. Doesn't know what the heck he's doing. This is a complete revamped offense. I have such high hopes for this Atlanta Falcons team. I'm saying Robinson is going to be utilized the way he's supposed to be utilized. This dude is going to blow up. Number 1 running back. Now, most people are going to go up with somebody. I think Chris is going to say, I would agree with you, but there's the injury issue. There is no issue. I don't think he's going to be the same. At some point, you got to fall off. You can't be on top forever. At some point, you got to fall off. I think this is the year. And these are 30s. You're already there. It's like, So Robinson's the dude. I can't stand the Falcons, but I'm telling you, this is the year. Falcons, baby.
Okay, for starters, Christian McCaffrey, who you're referencing, he's 28 years old, number one. Number two,
Man, he's been in the league for
number
he's only been
two,
in the league
this is
forever.
a no-brainer. So please don't overthink it. Like he's already misinformed on his age, let alone what it really is, folks.
It's a lot of wear and tear there,
Make
man.
no mistake about McCaffrey. Make no mistake. He's played 8 years in the league, and 4 out of those years he's played 16 games. People
Dominant.
forget about that.
Dominant.
4 out of those 8 years, he's actually played 16 games per season. People don't talk about that because of the time that he had in Carolina. With that being said, any running back can get injured. So it's ridiculous. We still don't know that your boy is not going to be injury prone because he didn't get the opportunity, like you said, last season. So when you look at Bijan Robinson,
he was playing.
When you look at Breece Hall, didn't get enough opportunity. They have tons of upside. And he wants you to bank with your number one. Excuse me, sir. He wants you to bank on your number one pick at running back, if you have the number one pick, to get somebody who has all the hype, yes, but is unproven at the NFL level.
Anyway.
That's the problem. Hold on. That's the problem.
Okay.
So McCaffrey is potential, is expectation, but he's also a proven commodity. So this is a no-brainer. Don't listen to him. You got the first pick and you want to take a running back, it's McCaffrey, not Bijan. Not because he's going to have a terrible year, but because McCaffrey is still number one.
McCaffrey is ridiculously good, but you want
destroyed.
do you want a Lexus that with 99,000 miles? That's
A
Christian
28-year-old,
McCaffrey.
a 28-year-old.
He had 99,000 miles.
A 28-year-old
He had 99,000 miles Lexus, or do you want to go ahead and pick up essentially a Mercedes with 1,000 miles on it? Because that's what Robinson is. Robinson, we all know what he is. We saw what he was in college. We know he should have had a dominant year. The problem was it was the worst coach in the history of NFL who just refused to use this guy. Refused to use Robinson in a terrible team. The new coach, the new system, new offensive coordinator, new everything, brought in Kirk Cousins, who's going to go ahead and rock Atlanta. Now, obviously, with Robinson, you got London, you got Pitts. Atlanta! Stand up.
And this is and what he's basically doing, folks, is he's grabbing the because he knows I love the Bucks, right? So he's grabbing all this Atlanta thing and trying to twist it on me and trying to make my day miserable here. But that's okay. The fact of the matter is this. Here's some facts. Number one, I'm the returning fantasy football champion of our league.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Yes,
I'll give you that.
That's number one. Number two, I'm telling you right now, folks, proven commodity McCaffrey over we'll wait and see dynamic and is going to be a good pick. If you got the number one pick, you take McCaffrey.
I like McCaffrey. I'm at some point it ends.
They're still competing for the Super Bowl. They're still competing. They're still hot. Why would you not?
I'm not arguing with you. Like, Christian McCaffrey is amazing. I'm just concerned about, he's been a lot of miles on that bad boy. A lot of miles on him.
Miles on that bad boy. He's not a piece of. He's
not
a real car.
He's
not a real vehicle.
It's a lot of miles. You know that. And
Okay.
I'm not saying he's going to be lacking, but I'm just telling you, Robinson is going to have a monster year. I feel it in my bones.
Yeah, that's because the hatred he has for the Bucks. Moving on to the middle of the pack. Let's say you have wide receiver heavy, quarterback and wide receiver heavy, Johnny. You got to pick a running back in the middle. Who's the sure fit middle of the pack?
It's going to be none other than Pacheco. Pacheco's the dude. I'm telling you right now, McKinnon is no longer on Kansas City. He is that mid-level back you have to really consider. He really helped out and really carried me and my team last year, but even more so, he's going to be looked upon. He runs angry, and I love the way this guy runs, but mainly with McKinnon gone, he is now not sharing any carries with a secondary back for the most part. The rookie that brought in, he's going to go and get a couple. But ultimately, this is Pacheco's team. It's the first time in a while to where he's a clear a one back in Kansas City is going to get 80% of the snaps, and it's Pacheco.
Florida Man Sports, folks. I want to first start, and this is sometimes why I have to take my boy to school. This is why he hasn't won a championship, and I don't even know when.
The year before
He's
you
talking
won.
about Pacheco, a guy who's going to be drafted in the second and third round. And ESPN drafts.
Nobody's drafting Pacheco in the second round.
ESPN right now, he's averaging. I'm like 1,000,000% sure he's like 20-something pick, which puts you in the second to third round. And I'm going to search that.
That's the third round. The 20-something is the third round.
We're talking about middle of the pack, Johnny. We're talking about 5th to 7th round.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I'm going to have to help you guys out here. I'm going to have to hold his hand.
No.
It's nobody other than
nobody's dropping
It's
him
nobody
at
other
point.
than Zamir White, the Raiders running back. Listen, folks, 74 average draft position, which puts him at 5th to 7th round.
Yeah, that's a value pick, not a mid. That's a value.
No, that's
pick.
a mid pick.
That's
Literally
a value.
5th round, Johnny.
Value pick.
5th to 7th is literally
Value.
the middle, Johnny.
Value.
Okay?
Pacheco value. Nobody's drafting.
I know
Nobody's
math.
drafting Pacheco in the second round, bro.
Sir, he's being drafted in the second and third round. And sir, I know that math hurts your brain, but just
all right,
with
sure.
the other hand.
Let's go with fake numbers.
Zamir
Let's
White.
throw it
No,
out.
these are the real numbers.
Okay.
Zamir White, he averages 4 yards per carry. He's going to double his stats because he's the bona fide starter. I hate Minshew, but he's got Minshew there, which means that there's going to be a little short throws or a lot of running the ball. All that's going to do is it's going to help Zamir White. So for me, the only other thing is that the Raiders did sign Madison, right, from the Vikings. Well, let's be real. He's not even a third down back. As far as projections, expectations, and everything, he's not even being drafted as a safety to Zamir White. So again, if you're in the middle of the pack, 5th to 7th round, you take Zamir White and you see what you have in him. Maybe he becomes a top 10 running back. I see him more like 12 or 13, but a lot of good points there. So that's how that's done, Johnny. Let's see if you can redeem yourself. Let's see if you can give us a value pick, somebody that everybody's not going to be thinking about maybe necessarily, and that's going to produce for you at the end of the draft.
It's anybody that's right now in the Miami Dolphins is a value pick, whether it's a Chain or Mostert. Obviously, a Chain is a name that people are looking at because he's finished the season like that, but a Chain might get picked up earlier. So even Mostert is an older back, but being the track star he was in college, he has that longevity. He's done everything you needed from him, especially at a value pick. So if a Chain goes early, which I expect, but some people still are going to hold off of him, he's there, take him. But Mostert is really the dude you want to go for because they see him there. Ideally, what you try to do is handcuff your running back. So if you have one, you want to grab the backup. So if you're able to go ahead, I said Pacheco, but also secondary is the Chain. If you're able to get him there, then you want to go and handcuff make sure you have it there just in case of injuries. Or the Dolphins are one of those rare teams where you can probably get away with both running backs and still come up with positive points. There were plenty of times where both players had over 10 points. You had some games where a Chain goes and gives you 30. And Mostert gives you over 10. So that's a rarity if you're in a pinch. But ultimately, Mostert, a Chain, any of those two, a Miami Dolphins running back, any of those two will work as a value.
I'm glad that you saved yourself with because a Chain is going to go early. Yes, a Chain is going to go early, so I give you that. You're absolutely correct. And short of that, there are value picks because a Chain still is not proven in the health department.
That's why he may fall down to that value pick.
Yeah, but
he's not
though. He's not though.
No,
everybody else you're right about.
It depends on what league you're in. Some people may see that. They see the negatives, like, oh, he's questionable. He has the issues. He didn't last whole season. Maybe not. So that's why I put him and lumped him in. So Miami Dolphins running back. If he falls, you pick him up. If he's already taken, you pick up Mostert.
I got you. As far as value pick for me, folks, I always think what a value pick is when you need a running back, can you at least get somebody that you know is a bona fide starter? Is it fair? Because if nothing else, if you're a starter, you at least have an opportunity to do something.
Okay.
That's Ezekiel Elliott. Now.
Hell no.
Now. Hear me out. Listen and hear me out.
Get the heck out of here.
Hear me out. Listen and hear me out,
oh
folks.
my God.
Hear me out. Now, this is TBD on one thing.
My guys.
Jerry Jones is
interviewing. They turned YouTube off. They turned off the podcast. They don't want to listen to us anymore.
People that are listening know that Jerry Jones may be signing somebody, that there's a little whispers going on. If that doesn't happen, Ezekiel Jones, he's ranked 30th right now. He's being drafted 110.
Too high.
Meaning he's being drafted between the 8th and 10th round. He's rostered on 84% of ESPN leagues, folks. Listen to this real quick, folks. You're talking about our other guy being in the league for so long. Ezekiel Elliott is only 29 years old. Mm-hmm. He just turned 29.
29 going on 50.
He had a bad year in New England. That's your team. You want to know what a bad year was for him? 174 points. 174 points in New England, where they were running with him and Stevenson. Right?
The worst receiver room in
174
the football.
points. Well, he's a running back. So
yeah, now, meaning they were running more and more, and he only had that
pathetic. Short of Dalvin Cook, that's the name that we're hearing, right? If Dalvin Cook does not happen, folks, listen to this. 2022, his last season with the Cowboys, and I'll leave it at this. He had 15 games, 231 carries for 876 yards.
Can't do that.
Okay, so you're not even asking for 1,000 yards,
folks.
Do that. With the 110th draft, 8th to 10th round, a starter.
I'm so disappointed.
You have a bona fide running back who can be a flex option for you. Getting a running back starter in the 9th round is no easy task. So for me, folks, if he's available, you could do a lot worse in the 10th round, Johnny. This is why we call it a value pick. To get a starter and a running back from the Dallas Cowboys, Ezekiel Elliott.
Horrendous.
No, that's actually a really good one.
Guys,
and if you steal that during the draft,
I'm not. Don't worry about that.
I'm looking at you too, Christian, if you're listening. I'm looking at you.
Don't worry about that.
Look,
you're drafting a name in Zeke.
No, you're drafting a starter, Johnny.
Zeke, I'm telling you right now, if he's not going to be a starter the entire year. He's back. The Cowboys are a mess. the Cowboys, instead of drafting a rookie running back, somebody who, and anybody, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers picked up a quality running back. Not in the first round, not in the second round. Later on, they could have easily went ahead and picked this guy up, but no, they could have picked up Bucky, like somebody like that from out of Oregon, or anybody who had that skill set. Bucky would have been a great fit for Dallas Cowboys. I think about it, but they didn't. They just let's get old man Zeke back. If you saw
29-year-old,
if you saw him play, old man Zeke. If you saw old man Zeke play with the Patriots, and you say this, yes, the worst receiver room in football, meaning they were running, and he was pathetic. He was terrible with the Pats. He wasn't good with his last year in Dallas, and you're picking his numbers. I'm like, he wasn't very good. You can't bring up, especially with the running back position, here's his numbers several years ago.
No,
like,
just the year before.
Irrelevant.
And
that's more than
174
one.
points.
That's irrelevant.
He gave you 174
points.
Yes, that's literally all you're asking for this year.
What you want from a running back, you don't want what Zeke would give you. He'll give you 1 week 2 points. The next week he'll give you 15 points.
That's what he did
the
last
week
year.
after that he gives you 1.7, and the week after that he's injured because he ate too much pasta.
That's what he
and
did last
can't.
year.
He's bloated. He can't play. Like you don't want that type of inconsistency. What? Actually, I take it back. He's consistently bad. So no. Stay away from Zeke. Zeke is terrible. Terrible.
So this is why.
Stay away.
Once again, this is one person who's the returning champion and somebody else's opinion that nobody cares about. Mm-hmm. Now, speaking of nobody cares, Johnny, because you and I were completely different at quarterback position here.
Okay.
And at running back. Let's talk about the wide receiver position.
Okay.
God, can we be on the same page?
I mean, I would imagine
who's your best wide receiver.
I would imagine, like, listen, I love Hill. You guys know me. Hill's the dude. Hill's always been my number one guy. This particular year, you're not wrong by picking up Hill, but Hill's not my number one guy. It's CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb is the guy. I talked about it previously. CeeDee Lamb, who just got the bag, who was fighting about everything else, finally got the money. Got the money today. He signed it. Got it. So that whole thing's done. So he's the second highest paid wide receiver by a few bucks. But, like, still, he got his money, so he can shut up already, right, and stop crying about how he wants his money. That guy this is an offense that's tailored around him. That's why Dak Prescott's going to have a good year, like you mentioned, because they're going to be throwing that rock, and they're going to be throwing it to Lamb. Lamb had, close to 1,800 yards last year. Lamb had a ridiculous year. He's going to go ahead and repeat that. No matter what happens with the Cowboys, they are throwing to CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb is easily, is the number one. I like him a little bit better than Hill because Hill is a little older. He's already questionable. So Hill's still going to blow up. Hill's still going to have a great year. But if you have to point a gun to me and say, who's your number one receiver here that's going to go ahead, fantasy-wise, CeeDee Lamb.
So you pick Burrow as your number one quarterback and don't pick his counterpart at wide receiver. Hey, by all means, you talk out of both sides of your mouth, so I don't expect
Higgins.
I don't expect anything.
He's gonna lose some of it to Higgins. What other option do the Cowboys have? Please, I'm an idiot. Tell me who it is. Tell me who it is. You got nothing. Boom.
That's what happens. So you get double coverage at that point. So you just ate a rock. Anyways, for me, yeah, double coverage. You get
I ate a rock.
Yeah, for me, yeah, because you got caught. For me, wide receiver, the best wide receiver option, if it's your choice and it's the first round, you take Jamar Chase. You know, again, this guy again talks out of both sides of his mouth. He talked about last episode or the one before that one that you don't take somebody that's got the bag, they're not going to play well. Literally what he said, and then he's telling you to take CeeDee Lamb. But anyways, Jamar Chase, he's ranked number 11. His draft position is 8. Okay, so people are going to be in a rude awakening here, Johnny. You got a healthy Joe Burrow. We already know that. You're talking about 1,400 yards, double digits in touchdowns. Please don't overthink this one. Joe Mixon is not there anymore either. What that means is that Zach Moss and Chase Brown are going to figure out the running game. It's going to give him more opportunities in the passing game. And one last thing I'm going to say besides the fact, because the low fruit is that he's in a contract year. But let me give you something else. T. Higgins. That's it. Before, it was 3-4 wide receivers. That's it. It's T. Higgins and him getting the ball. So don't overthink it. If you got the number one pick and you're thinking wide receiver, you take Jamar Chase. He's going to have an MVP-like season, but he won't win the MVP because he's a wide receiver.
Guys, I mean, we're grasping at straws here, so it comes down to, I'm saying Hill, Chase, CeeDee Lamb. Those guys are all 1A, 1B, 1C type of thing. It's just ideal when I looked at it and really analyzed everything. I think that CeeDee Lamb is going to have the best year.
Will we-
Chase is going to be right there. I mean, Chase may end up being like 20 yards under. I mean, I've been high on Chase. I've been saying that he's chasing that contract. But the only reason why Chase ended up being 1B for me is because while he's already been, he's going to play week 1 versus the Patriots. Yeah. This guy's just angry he's not getting the money. And I know Cincinnati is not going to pay him all year. So I
disagree.
I
disagree.
No, that anger, that just kind of the resentment is going to just fester all season. And I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to pay him. But the guy has this year, and then he still has his option year. So the Bengals still have 2 more years with them under his rookie contract. They're under no obligation to pay him. He wants to hold out, he can hold out.
He's going to ball out, and he's going to get the bag.
Oh, he's going to get the bag. I don't think he's going to back this year, next year.
Let's talk about the middle pick. Let's see if we can finally get something right here, Johnny, you and I. Middle of the pack, who are you taking? Where's your middle pick?
It's going to be Waddle out of Miami. I mean, ideally, he's the best number 2 in the game. He is the absolute best number 2. He's a number 1 just about everywhere, but Hill is a number 1 on this team. So Waddle being there, that mid-pack, people are always going to look towards Miami, pick up what? Nobody's picking up Waddle as their number 1 wide receiver. Not because he's not good enough, because he can easily match up with any of the names we talked about in Tier 1, but they're not going to because they think Hill as the first pick, and they will. They're going to go ahead and do that. They don't pick up Hill. They have CeeDee Lamb. They have Chase. They have A.J. Brown. There's so many different names that come up. So by default, the best mid, number 2, automatically becomes Waddle. You can make an argument for Smith out of the Eagles, Philadelphia, but it's Waddle. Waddle's the guy that he got his money, way earlier there, and this offense is built completely around Hill, Waddle, chain.
My boy here, my counterpart, Johnny Cinco here, gives you somebody that may or may not be in the middle of the pack, because depending on your draft, he may go 3rd round. So basically, he's giving you useless information. But don't worry, I got your back. I got your back, folks. Florida Man Sports here.
If you say the 3rd round, third round, you can pick up essentially a number 1.
Middle of the pack, Johnny, is 5th, 6th round. So we're gonna go with Zay Flowers. Don't get mad. Don't get glad. Don't get mad. Zay Flowers. 31 ranked at his position. Zay Flowers, 62 average draft position.
That's a value pick.
Which means, no, that is a middle pick, because he's literally getting drafted in the middle, 5th to 6th round. Let me destroy Johnny with this one.
Sure.
Zay Flowers is a wide receiver 1. You're getting a wide receiver 1 who's he's a wide receiver 1, Johnny. There's no question. He's a bona fide wide receiver 1 at that.
Bona fide?
Yes.
You use bona fide with Baltimore Ravens.
You got to think about this for 1 second.
The whole offense is Lamar Jackson, but he's a bona fide number 1.
When you've got a guy competing for an MVP every year, when you got a guy who's going to throw for over 3,500 yards, when you got a guy who has
3,500 yards is pathetic in today's
wide
NFL.
Receiver 1. Last year, folks, 16 games last season. He was the 2nd and 3rd string wide receiver behind Junior and behind Bateman. Mm-hmm. He gave you 77 receptions and 858 yards.
Trash.
Last year. Exactly.
Trash.
Now he's your wide receiver 1. So with confidence, middle of the pack, folks, you'll thank me later. Look for Zay Flowers. He's being drafted between the 5th and 6th round. That's your middle of the pack pick. Getting a wide receiver 1.
Terrible.
You're welcome. Y'all.
Horrendous. You're welcome. That is a value pick. The Baltimore Ravens are a run-first offense. So, no.
Who's your starting running back, John?
We're going to get to the...
Who's your starting running back?
What are you talking about?
Who's the Ravens starting running back? They're not a running back. They're not a running team this year.
They do the same thing that the Patriots do. They completely revamp and restart it over there. So the starting running back is going to be.
That just helps me out. You're welcome.
No, listen, but they went and spent money on Henry. Henry is their starting running back. So Henry is their main dude.
Let's see.
And they have the rookie. I can't remember his name. That's backing him up. So, but Henry, we talked about last week. It's kind of like. He's going to fall off.
One thing is clear.
They're still a running team. They have a quarterback who's a run-first quarterback. But somehow, and you even said the high point is Lamar Jackson, 3,500 yards in today's NFL is pathetic. So 3,500 yards. It's garbage.
I said 3,500 yards because he did over 4,000 last year, Johnny. Mm-hmm. So that's
you're already bringing it down.
No, exactly. That's my point.
But somehow his passing yards going down, but the wide receiver number is going up.
When he becomes the wide receiver,
your math ain't mathing, bro.
When he becomes
math is not math.
Clearly, you've gotten destroyed this whole episode. Let's see if you can find a way to please redeem yourself. Please find a way to redeem yourself.
Okay.
Can you give people a genuine value pick? Can you pick yourself off the ground? Stop stuttering.
You know what the value is right here. The value is right here. I've been saying all season long, all off season long, and this show and the last show here on the team that I expect to rise from the ashes. Just rise from the ashes like a phoenix. Get the hit like a bird. It's a Falcon. Drake London, guys. This entire Falcons offense is going to blow up. You don't sleep on Drake London. Drake London had a okay year last year with a horrendous offensive scheme, a horrendous head coach, horrendous offensive coordinator. Everything's been revamped. Kirk Cousins is going to go ahead and show them the promised land. And he's going to benefit from all the offensive other weapons there that's going to take off some attention off him. Drake London is your dude. People are looking at him. They're sleeping on him. They think, no, he hasn't produced. He hasn't produced. He hasn't produced. People have been talking about Drake London, but he hasn't done anything. This is the year. Drake London, gentlemen. Value, pick him up.
Florida Man Sports, streaming on all platforms. And I know what you guys are thinking. I'm going to tell him, hey, Johnny, just because you're screaming and shouting, it doesn't make it
It
true.
does. Stephen A.
Real.
Smith says, yes, it does.
No,
you can
no,
just
it
do
doesn't.
that.
And so,
you
again,
can yell
value
and
pick Drake London will not be there in the 8th round. So please don't listen to this guy.
Sure.
He will not be there in the 10th round, 11th round,
I didn't say
12th
10th and 11th round.
Drake London
First of all,
will be drafted.
we're talking about after 10. Those are like your
Drake
sleepers.
London.
Those are
No,
like
those
your
are value picks.
Those are not going to be there. Those are the sleepers we're going to get into.
No, sir.
But like we're not going to go ahead.
No, sir.
You're going to
Okay.
pick up. For me, the value
for you.
pick 7th, 8th round right there. That's what's
he's
up.
not going to
He's
last.
over here like
Drake
10,
London,
12. No, man.
Drake London will not last the 7th round. And in next episode, I will tell you
because the Falcons are going to whoop up on the books.
Because they're going to
because the NFC South is going to be dominated by Atlanta Falcons.
I'm going to give you here what the real value pick is, and I'm going to pull a Johnny here, where I'm going to give you more than one name.
Oh, there it is. It's funny how that's changed.
I'm not even going to give you a name. I'm going to give you a team.
A team?
And yeah. Listen, folks.
Okay.
Listen.
Give me a name. Nobody wants a team.
This is why we've been 30-some-odd minutes in, and this is why you're listening. Here's your value pick for you to keep an eye on.
Your eyes can't see it.
The Green Bay Packers wide receivers. Think about this for a second, folks.
Watson?
You're talking about, no, the wide receivers, bro. You got Christian Watson, Jalen Reed, and Romeo Doubs.
Okay.
Listen, all three guys are being drafted between the 8th and 12th round. You're talking about a quarterback who throws for 4,000 yards. You're talking about an
Watson's going to go the same place that London's going.
You're talking about a four.
Sure.
No, Johnny. The way he's been drafted, actually, it's funny that you bring it up. Reed is getting drafted higher. Reed is getting average
Reed,
draft.
my sleeper last season.
Is 100,
I said Jaden Reed is going to be the rookie last season. Thank you for bringing that up. I'm a genius.
People are drowning you out. Reed is being drafted in the 100th position. Watson is being drafted 125th. So it's crazy how that works. So, folks, if you're looking for value, if you stack your team with running backs, quarterbacks, and tight ends, look at the Green Bay wide receivers because they're open for business, brother. And they're going to be value picks between 8 to 12. You can thank me later. That's a can't miss, the Green Bay Packers offense. Now,
I pat myself in the back. It's all good. I appreciate that's nothing wrong with that.
Let's put a bow on this.
I gave you Reed. I gave you Reed last season. You gave Laporta. So it's kind of like these are the guys that are gonna, and they both showed up.
You're not gonna compare yourself to me. Let's put a bow on this, folks. Talking about Laporta and tight ends, where we're looking for the best pick. Can we finally have a consensus in Florida Man Sports, Johnny? Who do you have as your number one tight end?
Listen, it's just simple. You honestly, when you come down to tight ends, you got three options. Any of these guys are one.
Just give them your one.
Any of these guys are one. It's the same thing. It's if you have the option to pick up, obviously Baltimore's Andrews, Kelce, or Laporta, those three guys, it's whatever gives you're not going to go wrong.
This is a show. They're looking for the one.
I'm telling you, if it's available, you have those three to choose from. So this is a position that it's very small and elite. So those three, if you're asking me which is the guy, I'm never going to tell you not to take Travis Kelce. Kelce is the main guy. You can't go wrong with any of those three. If you have the opportunity to pick up Travis Kelce or pick up any tight end, I just said what it was, Mahong, that it also comes down to that it's Travis Kelce still your top. Laporta has the upside, I get it, and you see Andrews. It's really the only offensive weapon with the Ravens, but the Kansas City Chiefs are always going to be a pass-first offense. So with the weapons that are in place, now there's certain weapons where Rice it came up hot there. They drafted a wide receiver for that they expect a lot of things from Kansas City, but still the number one option for Patrick Mahomes is always going to be Kelce. So Kelce is my number one guy, but you can't go wrong with those three.
So I said it last year. I'm going to say it again. I'll keep this short and sweet because once again, this guy I don't know where his mind is. But it's going to be Laporta again, folks. Laporta this year is going to prove that it wasn't an accident, that it wasn't a fluke.
Okay.
I also have, and I've said this in previous episodes, so I'm going to stay in my lane in exactly what I've said. And I'm not high on the Lions this year. I said the Lions are going to regress. And so who gets more touches at that point? Laporta does, not the wide receivers, because they're going backwards, right? They're having to throw the ball and they're having to do short passes. And so I see Laporta, he's getting drafted between the second and fourth round. He's the third round pickup if you can get him. And again, I disagree with you on Kelce for the simple fact that they're going for a three-peat. No, they're going for a three-peat, and they got better at the wide receiver position. And so I see players like the running back for the Ravens. We're just talking about King Henry, right? We were just talking about those guys. Those guys are going to regress a little bit because they're being held for the long haul. They're being held for the long term. And so I don't see Kelce being an impact player like Laporta.
Kelce being
not initially. Remember, this is fantasy football. In the Super Bowl, he could be the MVP for all I care.
Yes, of course.
But you see what I'm saying, right? So as far as
I see what
I know
you're
you're
saying.
being
Wrong.
derogatory,
Yes.
but the case in point is this: Laporta, for
big word.
fantasy purposes, is going to have a better season than Kelce, and that's why if you're if you're getting the choice of the tight ends in the third round, second round, you take Laporta over Kelce. You heard it here first.
Well, you're not going to go wrong with any of those three guys, but I'm still telling you number one is Kelce.
Laporta, Andrews, and Kelce.
Why did I say that? Because you just made my point for me. You just said the receiver room got better. We've seen already what the Kansas City looks like with the best receiver room. Hill was the best wide receiver in football and was there dominating.
7 years ago.
And yes, and what happened?
7
it
years
wasn't
ago.
7 years ago. He's been
about 7
It
years
wasn't
ago.
7 years ago. You telling me you're telling me he's been playing with Miami for 6 years? That's what you're telling me?
5 years.
Okay. Anyway,
Like 5
this
years.
is going on. This is his third year with the Dolphins. So no. So 3 seasons ago, he was with Kansas City. So ultimately, what I'm saying is that when Kansas City improves that wide receiver room, the numbers for the tight end, Travis Kelce, only go up because now the focus isn't entirely on him. So, yes, I agree with you. The receiver room has been the best since Hill left, and that's only going to improve the numbers for Kansas City and Travis Kelce. He is a bona fide. You can trust that guy. Trusted hands. Laporta, we've seen an amazing rookie year, and I'm not knocking him. He's there. But if I have to choose between those three guys for this upcoming year, it's going to be Kelce. Kelce's the dude because you can trust Travis Kelce. You can trust Andy Reid. You can trust Patrick Mahomes. You can trust the Kansas City offense. Boom.
Once again, my boy thinks that by just going into a rant that he's going to be right. But again, the champion has spoken. So
it works for Stephen A.
Let's go to the middle of the pack of the tight end position. Florida Man Sports, Johnny Cinco. Who are you taking in the middle of the pack? That's going to get you some points.
Okay, listen to me, guys.
Just
Listen very clearly. I'm begging you guys. Now, this name has hurt a lot of people. It's hurt you. It's hurt your heart. It's hurt my heart. This was some big time. This guy was supposed to blow up. He's supposed to do it. I'm telling you, this is the year, gentlemen. This is the year. This is the year. Do not sleep on Pitts. Pitts is finally coming out of his shell. He's going to fulfill the promise that we all expected. He was the guy coming out of college. He was the next big name in the tight end position. This is the dude. The Falcons have figured it out. They figured it out in every position, especially when it comes to the tight end position. They're finally going to utilize this guy the way. So he's let you down. He's broken your heart. He's the guy you went ahead and said, no, we're going to do it. No, he's hurt you. But now he's learned. They have everything in place here.
People
There's
that
everything
have watched
here.
40 minutes in.
Pitts is the dude. He's not going to let you down this year, guys.
People that
He's
have watched
not
40
going
minutes
to
in.
let you down.
Have caught onto your game,
Pitts.
and they're literally going to listen to the opposite and stay away from you because they know that you basically picked the Falcons. You basically picked the Falcons.
You
this
put
whole
up there for a
time.
reason there. Put up for a
It's
reason.
terrible. Look, folks.
It's,
Again, a real middle of the pick draft here for you. Again, looking at the tight end position, so that you invest heavily.
You don't
every
think Pitts is going to have a good
position.
year? Real quick. You don't think Pitts is going to have a good year this year?
I don't think he's going to have a better year than the guy that I have in the middle pick here. So I'm going to get to that. Can I get to that now? Okay.
Okay.
So for me, folks, I'm going to educate him a little bit here.
Sure. Educate.
It's Dallas Cowboy tight end Jake Ferguson. Listen to this, folks. He's the 9th ranked tight end with top 5 potential. I'm going to say that one more time. He's number 9. He's got top 5 potential. He's being drafted 91st pick, which puts you between 6th and 8th round. Talk about some freaking middle of the pick right there for Jake Ferguson. Dak, talking about having a great year and this and that. he looks at him at the end zone more. I think it's the second most out of all tight ends last season.
Does he look at him in his eye?
Okay, he's last thing I'm going to say is you got CeeDee Lamb, you got Brandon Cooks, who's always hurt, and then you got Jake Ferguson. So I see a good year out of him. If you're needing a tight end at that point, Jake Ferguson, not Kyle Pitts. You're welcome. That's your middle of the pick.
You go with Pitts. The most famous Ferguson of all time is Turd Ferguson. So automatically, you're going to go with that dude.
Let's put a bow on this, folks, so we can move on to the next segment here, Johnny Cinco, and give us your value pick. Go ahead and waste people's time. Who do you got for your value pick?
The value pick is clearly a name I mentioned previously before. While expecting it's going to be feast or famine for the Arizona Cardinals, it's McBride with the Cardinals. McBride is coming into right now. He's kind of got certain things revamped with Murray towards the end of the season. With Ertz being injured out of
I'm sorry. I can't let this go on. Continue.
What the heck are you talking about?
Okay, number one, it's feast or famine. Well, so was Ezekiel Elliott as a value pick because he's feast or famine. You literally said that he would either do good and have bad and do good and do bad.
The feast is done.
So you're terrible. You're terrible. Number
two.
How are you
going to cut me off in the middle of saying McBride?
And you bring up Ezekiel. No, I'm not done. People are getting dumber.
Ezekiel's not feast or famine. Ezekiel's done.
Sir, you didn't have
a feast in terms of fat he's getting.
You didn't have your turn, but I stole it from you. Listen, you're picking the Arizona tight end who's projected to be drafted. He's been drafted in all ESPN rounds in the second and third round. Okay,
who's drafting a tight end in the second and third round if it's not the three guys we mentioned?
It's not three. It's four.
Ludicrous.
It's four.
You said two or three.
You just said three, and I'm telling you it's four. There's four tight ends.
You just said that McBride is being drafted 2 or 3, and there's 3 tight ends. There's Andrews, there's Kelce, there's Laporta. Those are the main guys. After that, it's Kittles. Is something who's maybe people are talking about McBride, but somehow people are drafting freaking McBride in the second or third round.
Excuse me, he's being drafted in the third.
Ludicrous.
He's being drafted in the third round. He will not last until the fourth round. He'll go in the fourth or before. You guarantee that. And so what he's telling you is as a value pick.
Nonsense.
As a value pick to take a guy who's not going to be there.
What draft are you at?
Continue with your nonsense.
You just
continue with your nonsense. No.
Nobody's drafting.
He's not going to be available as a value pick. Continue.
Okay.
I'll shut up. Go ahead, continue.
You're on
value pick.
You know how to shut up because I haven't seen it yet. Because McBride is not getting drafted, according to Chris, in the second and third round because his stats say he's getting.
Third and fourth.
You said it's recorded, thankfully. You said second and
third.
third.
Third and fourth. I got too excited.
And still,
fourth round.
Still third, fourth. No.
Yes.
Tight end is not getting drafted that high unless it is those 3 names I mentioned. And then if you have some kind of like you're a Tampa Bay fanboy, we have some people who are San Francisco fanboys, Lewis. So it's kind of like Kittles. But still, that's maybe the fourth guy people are looking at. McBride is not getting drafted as high as what this fool is saying. So when it comes around to the tight end, those names are going off the table. Now McBride is coming to look at towards the value that's there because people aren't expecting much from Cardinals because the Cardinals are going to be this year feast or famine. And this fool brings up Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott is not feast or famine. Ezekiel Elliott is just a old tubby man who's done. You're not getting anything from Zeke. Good luck. Maybe if you're on a bye week, something crazy happens. In a pinch, you're hoping maybe you get 12 points from Zeke for 1 week. That's the best you're going to get. Ezekiel Elliott is done. You're over here referencing his age. I don't care how old he is. He's basically 40 years old. He's done. He's no longer going to give you value of production. He's nothing. He's nothing but a Hail Mary if you have no other option for 1 week. That's all Ezekiel Elliott is. That's not who McBride is.
I will. No, you've been getting annihilated this episode. But anyways, we'll let the fans figure. We'll let them decide. I will say this. I got overly excited, and I admit because we're so wrong.
You're a jerk.
That I meant to say third and fourth instead of second and third. But again, he's giving you somebody who's going to be drafted in the third or fourth round as a value pick. Please don't listen. He won't be available. He can't be a value if he's not available.
What fool
you don't understand that? No, you don't understand that concept.
Nobody's drafting McBride the third or fourth round. Nobody drafted McBride third or fourth round.
Johnny, Johnny, he's literally being drafted right now. ESPN averages
Oh
third
my
and fourth
God.
round.
Okay, well, we got a draft coming. We'll see.
Furthermore,
We'll see
and
McBride
fans
draft
can
third
search
for
that.
round.
Okay.
It's ridiculous.
Okay, no problem.
With all the
No
with
problem.
everybody we're mentioning, with the wide receivers, the running
No
backs,
problem.
the quarterbacks, but
No
somehow McBride is getting
No
drafted
problem.
in second or third round.
You know, it's funny you say that because it's one of the biggest reasons why, folks, I'm glad you brought that up, is because of what happened with last year's tight end Laporta, the diamond in the rough that I picked with the last pick in the draft, which won me the championship, by the way, I might add.
Okay,
So
that's not what
people
won
see
you the
that-
championship.
No, well,
the
it's
guys
my
in the
skills,
league,
my talent,
the
my
guys in
skills,
the
my
league
talent.
know
Excuse me,
what
my
won you
turn.
the
Excuse me, my
championship.
turn.
They know
Tom,
exactly
Florida
what
Man
won you the
Sports,
championship.
streaming on all
No.
platforms.
Eso
I'm
mentira.
gonna give you
Eso
my-
mentira.
I'm going to give you my value pick, folks, and this is a real value pick, so he will be available. It's none other than Pittsburgh Steeler Pat Freiermuth. Look for him.
Freiermuth.
Yes, please look for him.
He's going the same
Don't
time McBride.
Judge him.
Same thing.
Don't judge him based on last season. He's the 30th ranked tight end. 30th ranked. He's being drafted between the 11th and 13th round, and he's rostered in 64% of teams. The reason for that, folks, is because last year he had an abysmal season. 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, 76 points in fantasy. It's going to be Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. We know that already. So you can expect those minimum to double. So you got a guy that you can pick up in the 11th and 13th round who can be a starter for you for 3, 4, 5 games in a season if you need him to. So look for him. That is a real value pick because besides George Pickens, besides Van Jefferson, Johnny, there's nobody else but Pat. So another end zone target off the tracks, and you got to pick him in the 11th round. You're welcome, folks. Florida Man Sports. That's why you listen.
I like Vermouth. Like Freiermuth. Yep. I like him. He's been a solid tight end, dependable since he came into the league. So, depending, it doesn't really matter if it's Russ Wilson or if it's, Justin Fields. They're going to rely heavily on that tight end. So, I like the pick. I will never, ever, ever rely on their running back. The running back who, no.
We're talking about the tight end, so we're on the same page.
So they're going to be throwing.
Listen, folks, at the end of the day, we gave you the picks of who we thought. We'll let the games decide themselves. But there's one thing that we got to go over here, and that's who to stay away from. We don't necessarily need to go position by position. I do have a handful of people I want to give you. Johnny, off bat, who do you got as players that people should be staying away from?
You got to stay away from Christian Huaman's advice, number one.
I'm the champion.
I'm the
champion.
We're talking about players.
I'm
We're talking about players. We're talking about players here.
Whoa.
No, ultimately what we're saying here is stay away from these guys in the early rounds. Meaning if they're available for you in a value pick, you might as well give it a shot. It's not going to hurt you there. You don't want to make a mistake. A lot of people made this last season. An example would be Tony Pollard. So with Tony Pollard, people were drafting Tony Pollard last year with the number 2 pick. It was coming, expecting a big year from him with Zeke leaving. He's going to blow up the Dallas, and it was completely disappointing. The problem with that happens is that you draft a player very high, and you hold on to that player. You stick with them. So week after week, you throw them in the starting lineup when you know you shouldn't because you drafted them so high. If you were smart about it and got the value and did something else here, you draft them lower on, then you're more you feel comfortable with they're on the bench this week, no big deal. But when you draft a player 1 or 2, so we're trying to go ahead and say for us here to stay away from these guys. My number 1 guy to stay away from.
God bless you. Can you just tell who to stay away from?
Listen,
I'm
getting a round of applause in the comments.
No,
the comments
there's no round of applause.
Thank you for explaining that. You are so wise. Thank you. Okay, anyway, number 1 guy to stay away from, guys, Jonathan Taylor, the Colts. Just go ahead and stay away from Jonathan Taylor right now. There's too many question marks going on. Richardson coming back. Jonathan Taylor was injured much of last year. You picked him up on a trade last year. He didn't do much of anything.
No, I traded him.
So what I'm saying is that like with Jonathan Taylor, there's no problem picking him up, but you don't pick him up in the first or second round. If you're able to pick him up 3rd, 4th, 5th round, then great. It's a value pick, and for that position, that player, you do not. He's supposed to go 1st or 2nd round. I would advise you, as somebody who knows much more fantasy football than a fluke champion who barely won it on a fluke decision. Things happen there. Hey, but, a blind squirrel catches a nut once in a while, so congratulations. But you stay away from Jonathan Taylor.
What's that, a real
1st,
bad joke?
2nd round. You stay away from after that. Then there's some value there. It's an upside. It's a potentially working on. But he is slotted for 1st, 2nd round. No to Jonathan Taylor.
He's not going to last, so therefore your advice.
I
once
said
again,
stay away from him.
Once again,
if it
is
happens,
irrelevant.
then it's worth it.
It's irrelevant.
You stay away from. Let some other fool.
This is not going to happen because he's going to get drafted anyway. But stay away. But if he gets into the third round, then draft him. You're useless once again. Do you have anybody else? God, you're terrible. Anybody else?
Of course I do.
Okay, please.
No, we're going one at a time. No, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
So I do have a running back.
You're
okay,
nonsense.
For me, it's James Cook, the Bills running back.
Oh, Captain Obvious.
And
Hey,
I'm going to tell you, folks. I'm going to tell you, folks. Actually, it's not Captain Obvious. This is Cook's first opportunity with a new offensive coordinator to be the lone running back for that team. And because they have bad,
he'll start already.
It's using, sir. You had your chance.
Really? You had no problem. Jumping in mine.
I'm using the same,
the
same logic. You see how silly my buddy is here. I'm using the same logic that he did with New England last year. Well, they had terrible wide receivers, therefore he should have done better, right? Well, guess what? They have bad receivers. They have no receivers for that matter for the Bills this season. Therefore, James Cook should do better, which is why I'm telling you to stay away from him. Don't fall for that hype. Once again, I destroyed you. Okay, 500 yards his first year, 1,100 yards year 2. He only had 2 touchdowns last year.
Going to politics, bro.
For the amount of time that he's going to be drafted, for the amount where he's going to be, stay away from him altogether. There's a lot better options. The value picks that I gave you,
nobody's
the middle
picking up
picks that I gave you,
for the top. So when should you draft Cook?
No. Stay away from him altogether. Unlike you, I'm sticking to my advice. I don't
stay away from him altogether. He's not good enough to get drafted.
What part of stay away from him don't you understand? What that means is that if he drops,
so don't draft him at all. Don't draft a starting running back at all.
Sir, when there's a third round and he's available, there's going to be a better option at running back. When he goes to the fourth, which he won't, there'll be a better option, and so on and so forth. So unlike you, I'm not backpedaling. I'm taking it in the chin, and I'm being honest about it when I say ultimately he's not going to drop, and if he does, you have better options. Who else do you have as somebody to stay away from?
So you stay away from guys.
Dude, I stick to my story. You're like, oh, but if he's available, then you take him. But he's not going to be, so my information is irrelevant. Who do you have? Stop wasting time.
What I had said, because it's common sense.
What I had said,
which was common sense, because I'm not telling you not to draft.
Oh my God, who do you have? Jesus.
I'm not telling you not to draft a player.
Who do you have?
Because it's ridiculous to sit here and say, don't draft Cook under any circumstances.
Yeah, stay away from him.
We see where they're going.
I stand by that. Stay away from him.
We see where they're going in the draft. So he gave you Cook, and he said where he was going is way too high. I agree with you. He was way too high of where he's going right now.
I wouldn't pick him in the 4th. I wouldn't pick him in the 5th.
Well, you're ridiculous. So for me, it's kind of like what Jonathan Taylor was kind of like. He's going in the first and second round. Okay. So if you can get past those 2 rounds, for the dummies that pick him up in those first 2 rounds, then let it happen. But if you can go and pick them up later on, this is the same trend for me. I'm going to continue on with these to where stay away from. It's the same thing. Now, if you can pick up this player in the 3rd or 4th round, then you pick him up. Ideally, he's not going to be available in the 3rd or 4th round. People are picking him up in the 1st and 2nd round. So you stay away from Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp was dominant wide receiver, is amazing. But guys, what Puka's emergence and the injury nonsense we continue to deal with with Cooper. Cooper hasn't been that guy that we expected until 2 years ago. Last year he fell off, obviously because of injuries here, and now he's already aggravating some injuries here in preseason. He is not worthy with so many good wide receivers available. That question mark is not worth a 1st or 2nd round pick. Now, if you come across some a draft room that sees that and he falls to you in the 3rd round, then you pick up Cooper Kupp. You give it a shot because there's a value there at 3rd round. That's what we're talking about here. It is foolish for somebody like Chris to sit here and say, it's irresponsible really, for somebody like Chris to say that Cook, you just don't even draft him at all. It's ridiculous. Yes, where he's being drafted right now, 1st, 2nd round, no, you stay the heck away from it. But if you're able to pick him up 3rd, 4th, 5th round, then you pick up Cook. It's nonsense to say no because it's upside there because he's drafted 1st or 2nd round in every other draft. It's the same thing here with Kupp. He's drafted 1st or 2nd round, mainly 1st every single time. If he falls to you in the 3rd round, you're idiotic, you're crazy if you don't pick him up in the 3rd round. 1st or 2nd, you stay away from Cooper Kupp. You are welcome.
Because of Nakua, I want to remind everybody that right now, when you're looking at your charts, thinking about looking at Johnny, and you want to throw up, it's because you know that Kupp is actually being drafted in the 3rd and 4th round of all ESPN drafts. He's not being drafted in the 1st or 2nd.
He is.
No, he's not.
He's still the number 1 option
because
for
of
the Rams.
No, because of Nakua, Johnny. You're
no, he's not.
Wrong.
You're telling me that Puka. What information you got? Puka's going to draft him before Cooper?
Yes.
horrendous, ludicrous.
In the ESPN drafts, he is. And so once again,
I'm going to say words.
Tell you that's terrible.
Facts.
So, folks, here's a wide receiver that you need to stay away from no matter what, and that's DJ Moore for the Chicago Bears. And the reason why I'm warning, no matter what, the reason why I'm warning you guys.
So no, don't draft DJ Moore whatsoever.
The reason why I'm warning you guys is that last year he had that Pro Bowl season, total different team,
great.
total different coach,
they got better.
Quarterback, all those positions. You're talking about a
better
team
quarterback,
that Moore is the wide receiver one in Chicago, and I get it, he had the best season, right? But here, listen to this, folks.
Listen.
Keenan Allen. Rookie Romeo Doones. Okay, you're talking about a new quarterback as well. Right now, you got a top 10 talent in DJ Moore.
Oh my God!
And you have a wide receiver 20 as far as ranking. So don't let that fade. Don't go with your last year. I've lost a lot of league championships because of that. Last year he did good. Stay away from DJ Moore. You have to prove it. Quarterback has to prove it. Keenan Allen has to play together. And again, the rookie wide receiver. So for me, it's DJ Moore. Stay away from him. Don't draft him at all. You'll thank me later.
How can you tell these people to not draft somebody at all? Like, there's a value and there's not. So this guy, early on, and still, you're saying DJ Moore. So let's see. He had a career year last year with a horrendous quarterback. And he had no other option. So now he has an upgrade, yes, unproven, but an upgraded quarterback, because I don't care what you say, Caleb Williams is already better than Justin Fields. Even with what I've seen, he's already better. So, and then you have other options that they're going to look at. So he's not going to be the main target. They're going to have to really focus. This offense for Chicago is no joke. This offense in general for the Bears has been a mess for its entire existence. This is the best offense in Bears history.
Johnny, I've got two other people to stay away from. Do you have anybody else for people to stay away
from?
I
want to rant some more.
No. Do you have anybody else to stay away from?
Yes, I have one more.
Close.
I have one more, guys. You know you guys want to stay away from, guys? Stay away from Rachaad White. Rachaad White was all hyped up.
I'm leaving.
Was sitting here.
I'm leaving.
I
know you're lying. I know you're lying.
God.
I know you're lying. I'm leaving.
Okay.
I'm leaving.
Listen,
that can't be true. You're literally you're. I know that can't be true.
Stay away from White. White overhyped, overvalued. People like sweat. Let some. If anything, you pick him up just to trade to Tampa Bay lifers, fools like this guy. So go ahead and you get who you really want. So unless he's trade bait and you have a Tampa Bay Buccaneer like this a lifetime fan who thinks everybody's going to the Hall of Fame, who thinks everybody's great, they draft, every player's amazing. Then you pick him up just for trade bait. That's it. If he's not trade bait, stay away from Rachaad White.
So it's clear that one of us is giving the real advice. At this point, if you're still tuning in, thank you so much. We are streaming on all platforms, and you figured out that somebody, the champion, the returning champion, is giving you real stuff for you to really good ponder, put it in your stuff, and you have just somebody who's just, I don't know, I think he's just in oblivion. He's a different person. But I'm going to give you two other people to keep in mind real quick, folks. Tight end David Njoku from the Cleveland Browns. Joku, how do you pronounce his last name?
What's wrong with that guy?
Okay, here's why you got to stay away from him.
Why do you stay away from him? He burned his face and everything.
It all comes down to it. This is another player, kind of like DJ Moore, who had a great year last year. But guess what, folks? Last year, Joe Flacco was the quarterback. Make no mistake. Joe Flacco is not there. Deshaun Watson starting the season injured already. He may not even play week 1. They kept him out of the preseason. So for me, as far as tight ends, you can do a lot better. Stay away from him. There's the whole team is
Were you drafting that guy?
Jerry.
No.
Listen. They added Jerry Jeudy. No. They got Elijah Moore, Cedric Tillman, and of course Amari
Jerry
Cooper.
Jeudy, who Steve Smith says is a jack, just a guy.
So I know
nothing.
And whatever Stephen A. says, you know what you do in the locker room.
That's Steve Smith. The future Hall of Fame wide receiver for the Carolina Panthers.
Before. So anyway, you stay away from David Njoku.
Listen to my full words.
And then the last person that you got to stay away from, if you've ever heard anything here, this is Florida Man Sports. You're going to get two different perspectives here. Stay away from Kirk Cousins. Stay away from Kirk Cousins.
What a hater! What a Tampa
Listen, I'm going to be very clear and very fast. 23rd ranked quarterback. He's being drafted in the 12th round of most drafts. 12th round of most drafts. He's got an unproven head coach coming off an Achilles heel injury at 26 years old. New team around him. New system. 2023, he played 8 games for the Achilles. Prior to that, let's go back to the previous year that he's like, so good. He had 29 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. 29 touchdowns
2-1
and 14
2-1.
Yes. a 2-to-1
how
ratio.
dare you
So,
throw twice as many touchdowns as
I'm
interceptions?
telling you, don't
How
believe the
dare
paper
you,
hype.
Kirk Cousins.
Don't believe the paper hype. Stay away from Kirk Cousins. He's going to give you a 2-to-1 ratio this season. The Falcons are going to underachieve. You'll take 20 touchdowns and 10 interceptions.
Yeah.
That doesn't win you the division. That doesn't do anything for you.
And the NFC South, it does.
So once again, he threw for 4,500 yards last year. What are you talking? Anyways, stay away from Kirk Cousins. Anybody else to stay away from? Because I'm not going to keep going back and forth with the BS that he has.
Kirk Cousins is going to blow it up, guys. So these guys wanted to sit here because I get it. I understand. He's threatened, guys. He's threatened that now a new team is going to come in and go ahead and just dominate the NFC South. And they are. The Atlanta Falcons are no joke. I'm telling you, this year, the pieces they made, you want to say unproven. I'm like, oh my God, you're such a hater, bro. Baker is falling off.
What's happening in the back is more interesting than what you have
to
say.
Oh, I got him there. Hold on. Are they going to get
it's clear.
Florida and South Rapids in Florida all the time here.
It's
so
clear.
let's see.
It's Florida.
They're going to get him. They're going to get him. We're going to
wrap this show.
Nope. We got him.
We're going to wrap this show, folks.
We're going to wrap it up.
With what you've been waiting for if you're still tuning in, and that's the sleeper picks, the picks that nobody's thinking about. Now, Johnny has a very hard...
They put him to sleep.
Johnny has a very hard time with this because what Johnny does is he grabs what ESPN has to say about it, and he has it ready to go. So, Johnny, can you please give us a real sleeper?
Somebody's angry.
Oh, no, you got destroyed this episode. Can you please give us genuine sleepers?
I'll get a couple of different sleepers. We'll go one at a time.
No, genuine sleepers.
We're gonna go
not
one
what you saw on ESPN.
We're going to go one at a time here.
Yes.
It's kind of like, first of all, the sleeper I gave last year was on point. Jaden Reed was an elite receiver for the Green Bay Packers. The rookie coming in is amazing. It's on point there. So, no, you can say what talker you want.
Right.
Laporta was a great pick that you picked. The problem was that on the show here, you didn't let our fans know this is the guy you didn't pick. You picked him with the last pick, but you didn't have enough faith in him to go ahead and say publicly, this is my guy. Fail. So I will sit here and tell you.
And I'll stand by what I did.
I will sit here and tell you exactly who I have several sleepers, but we're going to go with the simple, obvious QB position. Most people don't expect this guy to do much this year. I disagree with new head coach, a couple new players like Tony Pollard, and a couple key wide receivers there. Mayo Levis, his rookie year last year. People aren't expecting him to do much this year. I'm telling you, fantasy-wise, if you're waiting, there's a couple different philosophies, a couple different ways you can go ahead and draft. If you want to go ahead and wait until just pick up all your key players and wait until the 10, 11, 12 round to pick up your quarterback, I'm telling you, Mayo Levis, I say because he puts mayonnaise in his coffee. Mayo Levis, the starting quarterback for the Tennessee Titans, I am telling you, is this year's fantasy quarterback sleeper. Chris.
And how many years has he been playing?
This is his second year.
Okay.
That's what I say. His rookie year last year. So now this year, his first full year.
I don't know how a guy who just gets a whole new wide receiving group this season is a sleeper pick for you. But this is why.
Who's expecting Levis, who came in mid-season, who didn't do much? He had his first game. He
had a really good rookie campaign.
First game, he had 4 touchdown passes, and then the rest of the year, he only threw 4 more. So one game counted for half of his touchdowns. So he had 8 touchdowns all year. That nobody's expecting much. I'm telling you, like I said last year, this guy has the poise. He's not going to be bad. So this year, new head coach with great breaks, Callahan, and you have the revamped running back room, everything else.
When I think the low fruit can happen, it comes at the very end with the low fruit. Look, folks, for me, it's very simple. It's
such a hater.
I'll tell you something else.
Let's
breathe, man.
No, I'm good. Let's hear the low fruit, true low fruit.
3rd round pick. He's going to be a top 15 wide receiver this year.
Okay.
Top 15 wide receiver. I'm calling it right now. Jalen McMillan, the Bucs wide receiver. Now, if you have an opportunity to draft him at which you will, you take him for 2 reasons, folks. 1, we're going to throw the ball this year. Make no mistake about that. And 2, the Bucs, unfortunately, were our Achilles heel is injuries. Chris Godwin may get hurt. God forbid, Mike Evans may get hurt. And this is a bona fide starter from day one. So Jalen McMillan.
Bona fide?
He's been connecting with Baker Mayfield over the summer. You'll thank me later. Pick him up. I'm the guy that drafted Laporta. Pick him up at the end of the round.
Didn't tell any of you guys about it.
You can thank me later. I got one more. What do you got?
Yeah, I got a couple more here. But so I got, for me right now, if you think about the Panthers, Carolina Panthers who had an abysmal year last year. They were actually the first team to draft a running back in the position there. That's in Jonathan Brooks. That was their top guy that they drafted here. I'm not telling you to drop Jonathan Brooks because he has an ACL injury that he's coming off of. It's not even been a year yet, so he's coming back here. I'm telling you that's Hubbard. Hubbard, who's the guy right now, the starting guy right now for Carolina, is the guy to go ahead and sleeper. He's going to go ahead. They're going to rely heavily on him because of the fact that Jonathan Brooks isn't 100% reps. He hasn't even had the reps in practice. So they're going to go ahead. So you had mentioned, you got to consider starting a running back, starting anything. He is a starting running back for the Carolina Panthers, and nobody's looking at him because they're looking at Jonathan Brooks because they drafted him.
The worst offensive team in the NFL. Go ahead.
They drafted Jonathan Brooks as the number one running back out of any other team here. But Jonathan Brooks is going to take a little while, probably towards the end of the year, if anything, or next year, since he's coming off that major knee injury, who hasn't even been getting the reps in practice or anything else here. So sleeper pick, something to where like nobody's going to see coming, nobody's picking up anytime soon. I'm telling you, this fool is going to steal this pick. He's talking over here sighing, doing whatever, and I guarantee you, towards the end of the draft, if he's somehow ahead of me, he's going to go ahead and pick him up because he's going to remember these words. I'm a genius. Hubbard, Carolina,
Lord knows,
you're welcome.
Lord knows I don't remember anything that you say after this show, and I go to sleep after a few more drinks. For me, folks, I'm going to give who would ever pick anybody from Carolina this year, right? It's like you guys, it makes no sense. But I will give you a running back sleeper because you're going to need one, folks, and here it is. It's Trey Benson. You're talking about the running back for the Arizona Cardinals. You're talking about the third-round pick. It's funny that both my sleeper picks were drafted in the third round this year. That's true sleepers for you. This guy's rostered in 67% of teams. And when you draft somebody who's going to be the second quarterback, running back, you kind of draft him as like the handcuff, right? But make no mistake, Trey Benson is not a handcuff. I'm telling you guys right now, James Conner's time is limited.
Yeah.
Besides the fact that he gets hurt, besides the fact that he doesn't really, every single year, I think he averages about 8 games a year. Forget all that. This guy is going to beat him on talent alone. So I'm telling you right now, folks, Trey Benson is not going to start. James Conner will, but by week 4, week 5, you're going to be like, dang, I got a bona fide starter here, and you can thank me later on that one.
The most obvious pick. Like, Conner's not going to anybody. First of all, unless you're
Johnny, what are you talking about?
Unless you're
he's rostered in 67%
unless your
of teams.
fantasy league is a bunch of guys who've never watched football. Everybody knows this. Everybody knows that Conner is a joke. He's done. He doesn't ever last. So you always pick up Conner's handcuff because it's guaranteed. Same thing happened last year, the year before, everything else. It doesn't matter from Pittsburgh all the way to here. You're guaranteed you pick up the secondary because he's not going to be the handcuff. That's Captain Obvious. Thank you for saying the obvious. I'm going to give you something you never heard of. The guy who always gets injured, I'm going to pick up a second guy.
On a 16 player drafted, he gets drafted in the 13th round if he gets drafted.
Horrendous.
That's all.
The last sleeper guy.
You're welcome.
The last sleeper guy is somebody who's worked out for me well last year's a rookie year. Did very well. New system, new head coach, but still, this particular team completely got rid of their wide receiver room. Yes, they drafted Ladd McConkey, and a lot of people are actually drafting him ahead of this player, but it's simple as Josh Palmer. Josh Palmer for the LA Chargers was amazing last year, but he's still getting drafted behind the rookie they just drafted in Ladd McConkey. So McConkey's getting drafted ahead of him. Palmer is still a secondary afterthought for the Chargers, and I don't understand why. They have a connection. He has a connection there with their quarterback. It's Herbert. They know him. They know what's up here. Palmer is somebody who can sit here like nobody's really thinking about. Because, like I said, everything I've looked at shows that they're drafting the rookie ahead of Josh Palmer. Ludicrous. Josh Palmer is your dude. If he's available late, you pick him up. You're welcome. Not some nonsense this guy's talking about.
Josh Palmer is not a sleeper pick in the slightest.
Oh, yeah.
Josh Palmer Josh Palmer is a value pick because he's being drafted. He's not sleeping on anybody. He's a guy that was a wide receiver one. He was a wide receiver one. He wasn't a wide receiver one. He was a wide receiver 3. He was a wide receiver 1.
He was a wide receiver 3, fool.
Can I finish? He was a wide receiver 1 last year because of injuries. He was forced into it for about 6 games. He's not sleeping on nobody.
Horrendous.
He's a value pick. The fact that you would have him as a sleeper just shows me how unprepared you are and how it's been proven you got destroyed in this episode today.
Okay, sure.
I'm actually a little bit ashamed that you're going to be putting this out because you got destroyed, dude. Oh my God!
Whatever you say here, look, guys. In general,
oh my God!
Just keep in mind we all know how fantasy football goes. So have a plan whether you're going to go off of a heavy wide receiver, heavy running back, whatever it is, have something set up there for you. You understand that you will have morons on your league, like I have in my league.
Returning champion.
So those guys always mess things up. An example I can use is to where I expected to go ahead and pick up Tua last year. Tua last year, like in the 6th or 7th round. The guy that was picking before
Nobody
me
cares.
already picked up a starting quarterback. So I thought for sure I'm good. I can wait an additional round. No big deal. He ends up picking up my guy. So there's always idiots involved, mainly named Lewis, who are going to go ahead and mess up your potential trade. So have some other options, other things available, whether you're going to go. So if you have a top 5 pick, for me, I always like to go wide receiver heavy and then go. But other people have different philosophies. Chris's philosophy of going running back heavy. So ends up whatever works for you works for you there.
I'm not sharing that with you.
So just good luck in your fantasy football draft. Hopefully this particular show helped you, kind of give you some insight. Do yourself a favor and listen to my advice. And don't listen to
draft
the
all
moronic,
Falcons.
the
Listen to
moronic
his advice.
that
Draft all Falcons.
Chris is
Yeah,
talking
good
about
advice.
here. Now, we will have another show recorded this week, coming out this weekend, where we get ready for our NFL Spectacular. So where we're going to go ahead and give you our predictions for week 1.
go.
And what you're going to hear is our predictions for the Super Bowl. Now, we got Major League Baseball right when we called the Rangers in July that they're going to win. Nobody else called it then. We called in July that, hey, FM Sports calls Rangers win the World Series. We got that. Now, in the preseason, we called the Boston Celtics. They're winning the NBA championship. Can we go 3 for 3 with the NFL? We will figure out. Tune in, listen in to what we have to decide, what we figure out, who is going to win the Super Bowl, who's going to be in the Super Bowl, and who's going to win it. Don't miss it, guys. We thank you for listening. FM Sports, Johnny, Chris, Empty Glass.
We're out, y'all.
We out.
Just broke the cup.